Hello, everyone. My name is Cristeo Sanchez. I'm an undergraduate student in the Bachelor of Social Work program. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my research project, which is looking into the avenues for helping agency collaboration for the benefit of at-risk Micronesian youth in Hawaii. So today we're going to be talking about the purpose of my research. I'm going to go into the research methods I used. I'll talk about the theoretical framework that was key in my findings and my research in general. I'll give a brief history of the problem within my target population. Then I'll go over the research hypothesis, my organizations that I used or I evaluated for my research. I'll talk about my research findings and finally give some implications for those findings. So the purpose of my research was to break down the historical trauma faced by Micronesian people in Hawaii and how it has affected the current population. More importantly, and the key focus of my research is to explore the need for collaborative efforts from helping agencies or organizations in Hawaii to address the needs of at-risk Micronesian youth. So the research methods I used were open source and publicly available peer-reviewed scholarly articles on the efforts made by individual organizations to help my target population. And I also did a few interviews with helping professionals from identified helping agencies. I originally identified helping professionals from 3 different agencies, and the goal was to interview at least 2 from each agency, but due to time constraints and scheduling conflicts, I was only able to interview 2 helping professionals from one of my organizations. So the theoretical framework that I used for this research was a systems theory framework. And I used that because I dealt mostly with organizations and I was looking at how organizations can affect change. In the early stages of my research, I considered using meso-level or using a meso-level look, but I eventually used the macro level just because the organizations had a greater impact on this research, and the meso level wouldn't have the greatest amount of impact, which was my goal. So in order to fully understand the issue, it's important to look back at the history of Micronesian immigration to the Hawaiian Islands. So I want to share a few points on the history of that topic. So most of Micronesia was under the colonial administration of the United States from 1945 to 86, before which it was under the control of Japan. The United States had only strategic and military interests in Micronesia and did next to nothing to rebuild a viable economy there. So partially as compensation for the loss of life, health, and resources due to the U.S.'s nuclear weapons test in parts of Micronesia, the United States enacted the Complex Free Association in 1986. And one of the provisions of that act was to allow Micronesian immigrants to enter, live, and work in the United States without needing a visa or green card. Since COFA went into effect, Micronesian immigration to Hawaii has drastically increased as a result of economic difficulties, such as finding work back home in Micronesia. Since COFA's enactment in '86 and the immigration of Micronesian citizens to the Hawaiian Islands, discrimination against this population has steadily increased. And discrimination among other factors have led to Micronesian youths on Oahu being one of the most high-risk groups worked with by various helping agencies. My research hypothesis is that if helping agencies like the ones I researched, which are Adult Friends for Youth, We Are Oceania, and Kokua Valley, if they collaborated in working with Micronesian youth, then these youth would have a more comprehensive basis for which they can grow from. Like I said, the organizations I looked at were AFY, or Adult Friends for Youth, WOW, or We Are Oceania, and Kokua Valley. Adult Friends for Youth is the organization that I am currently doing my internship with or practicum with, and they do mostly gang and violence mitigation. They've made it their mission to redirect lives to stop violence in order to strengthen family and community safety. while also promoting healthy well-being for all youth so that they can reach their full potential. AFY does not solely work with Micronesian youth. They do work with the most at-risk youth on the islands, and that is all across the island of Oahu. Mainly the Micronesian population that they work with do reside in the Kalihi area. And some of those kids that AFY work with are also part of the Kalihi Valley program. Oceania empowers Micronesian community as a whole in order to navigate success while honoring the integrity of their diverse heritage. They do a lot more cultural-based practices and activities, and they have a wide range of services to include community advocacy, educational services, economic development programs, just to name a few. And finally, I already mentioned Kalihi Valley, but they focus on inspiring healing and celebrating abundance in Kalihi through strong relationships that honor culture and place as well. So the findings of my research are that through interviews conducted with helping professionals who work with at-risk Micronesian youth in Hawaii, I learned that the greatest amount of positive change in the past has been change that came from collaborative efforts between organizations. One of the biggest examples of that is the Night Basketball League that is run by multiple of the different organizations. AFY has taken the lead on that in the past, but all the organizations come together and schedule the games and bring in different teams from all across the community and from different neighborhoods. In the last 2 years, this league hasn't been running because of COVID restrictions, but this summer they will start up again, and we are hoping to see similar results as the previous years, which are a significant drop in fighting amongst the neighborhoods during the time that these basketball leagues go on, and a general sense of community togetherness, which when these different organizations and different neighborhoods are separated, we don't see as often. So like I said, hopefully we will see an increase of those positive changes once again, once we start this program in this summer. In addition to the findings derived from interviews, I also looked at previous research projects and scholarly articles, and they suggest that at-risk youth can easily become overwhelmed with too many different programs serving them in different ways. Consistency is a key for at-risk youth in general, not just Micronesian youth. So collaboration between different organizations could make the services flow together more smoothly and make the kids not feel like they're going to too many different types of organizations or too many different types of services, which would keep them more engaged and potentially keep them in the program longer. The implications of those findings are that the knowledge gained through this research can be used to inform individual organizations of the greater impact they could be making if they collaborated and teamed up to meet the needs of at-risk Micronesian from their communities. This information can also be used in future funding proposals for these helping agencies, with proof that bigger joint initiatives can help the target population. State and federal funding can be expected to increase. Almost all of the helping organizations on the island of Oahu operate strictly off of funding through state and federal sources. So in order to get more of that funding, you have to prove that what you're doing works. And since we see that collaboration does work, the potential implication is that with more collaboration, with more positive results, more funding will come in, and then bigger projects can be had. But that is my research. That is what I found through this semester. I have my references attached here. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to what I believe is a very important topic on the islands or in the Hawaiian Islands. And just for the sake of our future, obviously the kids need to be taken care of, and if any specific group of kids is discriminated against, then that is, I believe, where we should start to make the first change. Again, thank you so much for the time, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.